Hello there, all readers. This is myself bringing you the second video of the seventh part. Decided to split it up because it's a lot easier to upload this way. And this part is dedicated to Dragonite for a numerous amount of reasons. This video and next video rather. And I'm not gonna spoil anything else. So let's just move along. I had a strong feeling that I was dead this time, although I felt like now I was breathing. Soon I could feel energy returning inside me. I opened my eyes and saw the bright blue sky with clouds moving slowly across it. I eventually had enough energy to sit up. When I did, I took a good look around. But there wasn't much to see. All I saw really was the ocean and this tiny island where I was. Although this was more like a sandbar than an island because all there were these two palm trees, a bush, and less than an acre of sand. I had the strength to get up on my feet. I took a couple of steps around the island. I was lost in thought with dozens of questions in my mind. How did I get here? That was just one of the questions. The main one was, how the heck am I still alive? Still in shock, I take slow steps along the water's edge while thinking. However, something on the ground caught my eye and distracted me from thinking about the question's answers. On the ground, there were 2 orange berries and a blue gummy. Oh, would you look at that? Seeing those 3 food items on the ground made my stomach growl. And then I became hungry all of a sudden. I guess it would be no problem eating these since I'm the only one on the island. I sat down in the front of the food and took an orange berry. I looked at it for a moment and took a small bite. The berry's taste was delicious. It made me feel slightly better. I then, out of hunger, ate the rest of the berry in one bite. I could feel my energy rejuvenate inside me. After eating the second orange berry whole, my mouth grew slightly dry. I was getting thirsty. But seeing that I was on the small island, where there was no drinkable water around, I tried to ignore the feeling in my mouth for the moment. I picked up the blue gummy and looked at it. Even though it wasn't a Pokemon, I put the whole gummy in my mouth anyway. I felt as if I was chewing a water-filled gummy candy. The gummy tasted exactly like spring water. My mouth and body were relieved when I swallowed the watery gummy. My thirst was quenched. After my meal, I get back up and wandered around the tiny island. I tried once again to think about those questions that filled my mind. However, when I tried to think about them, another thought popped into my mind that put me into wonder. Those 3 food items. Those were put there on purpose. I know it. All 3 of them were next to each other, nice and neat. It was as if someone was feeding me. But who could have done it? There were no Pokemon around where I was, or I thought so anyway. The sun beating down on me felt really nice. The area was clean and warm, and, well, comfy. It was the perfect thinking type of weather for me. I sat down and began to think again. The first question. How did I get here? Well, the first thing that came into my mind was, I don't know. The water current, maybe? Well, but if that was the case, then I should be on this island unalive. I went deep under the surface of the ocean. I thought it would run out of oxygen. Overall, it wasn't the current that brought me here. A Pokemon must have done it. Which brings me to my second question. Who brought me here? Was it Latias? Well, considering that she isn't with me now, it couldn't have been her. It must have been a Pokemon that was traveling in the sea and was near me. I really couldn't think of an answer to the question who it exactly was. I don't have enough evidence to assume anything, so that question will remain unanswered. I suddenly snapped out of my thinking process from a sound I heard behind me. It sounded like water splashing. I get up to the other side of the island and found even more food. This time it was 6 orange berries and 2 blue gummies. I look at the sky and see that the sun was directly above me. And judging by the looks of it, I would say that it's a little afternoon. I guess this is my lunch then. I sat down and began to eat my meal. As I did, I thought of a new question. Who is it that is bringing me food? I really wanted to find this answer out, well, because I wanted to thank whoever was keeping me alive. Although, this question and the one before it, did these questions have the same answer? Was the being that saved me also the one who was feeding me? If that is true, well then I really need to find out who that is, and that being must be thanked. I finished the last of my meal and thought of yet another question. How am I going to get off this island? I thought for a split second before I thought of an idea. I could use my Pokénav to call for help. I immediately reached into my left pocket for the Pokénav, but it wasn't in there. I checked my right pocket as well, but all that was in there was my red dagger and nothing else. I thought again for a moment to come up with a plan B. Perhaps if I were to find that being who saved me and or fed me, then I'd be able to get a clue as to how to get off the island. I began to lie down in the sand to relax, but as soon as I did, I heard another noise. It sounded like leaves rustling. I sat up and looked towards the bush in the middle of the island. The bush moved just slightly. At first, I thought it was just the wind, but then the bush moved again when the wind was not blowing. I got up to my feet and slowly walked to the bush to investigate. I was really hoping that it wasn't just the wind I heard. Hello? Is someone there? There was no response. The bush did not move either. If there's someone there, I need you to come out. I need help badly. I crept up near the bush and stopped. I waited for the bush to move again, but it never did. I decided to try to look in the bush, but as soon as I took one more step, a large burst of light appeared from the inside, and it shocked me for a moment. What? I put my head in the bush, but I saw no one in it. However, I did see little sparkles of light float around the inside of the bush, and shortly they disappeared. Ah! They ran away on me. Oh, why? There definitely was somebody in that bush, and whoever it was must have teleported away. There was nothing I could do at this point. I walked back to the edge of the water and sat down in the sun. Excuse me. I couldn't really think much more afterward. The ocean was calming to look at. Seeing the waves move along the horizon relaxed me and cleared my mind. Even though deep down I was scared to be on this tiny island, it was nice to see a view like this. After a little while, my thoughts came back to me, and then came another question. How did I return to the wrong spot in time? Finding the answer to that question was easy, but believing that answer was true wasn't. I knew that the reason behind was the fact that I must have thought of a certain point in the back of my mind. Like Dialga said to me before I left him, any stray thoughts may take me to the wrong destination. And I did go to the wrong place in time, so I must have been thinking of other things while attempting to time travel. I really wish I didn't, but I then wondered around about the hourglass itself. I realized that I did not have it with me, and that frightened me. I wanted to know where it was so I could get it back. Without it, I can't return to my own time. Also, I promised Dialga that I would take care of it. I need to get it back to him, or else he might get angry with me. At this point, the sun was just starting to set behind the ocean. It also started to change its color from yellow to orange. Soon enough, I heard another splashing sound on my left. I look over to see a roundish blue thing by the shoreline. I could see that it was setting up my dinner for me with more orange berries and blue gummies. Before I could get a word out, though, the figure backed up off the sand and dove back in the ocean. I was upset that I could not ask the being for help, but at least I observed the Pokemon long enough to find out who it was. It was a Whalmer. That Whalmer must have been the one who was taking care of me this whole time. Also, it could have been the one who saved my life. I really wanted to talk to that Whalmer, but I figured I probably wouldn't see it again until the morning. The sun was about halfway behind the ocean at this point. I decided that it would be best to go to sleep at dusk, just like the Latias do. The Latias. Oh, my Eon buddies. Oh, I really didn't want to think about them, because I was scared to. I crawled into the bush and sat down. As I watched the last few moments of the sunset, I couldn't help but to think about them. Which brings me to my last question of the day. How are Latias and Latios? I wanted to know if they were okay. I wanted to know whether or not Latios vanished in the night sky. I wanted to know if Latias' heart was broken. Also, I wanted to know if the city Alto Mare was saved. There were so many things that I wanted to know, but unfortunately I can't find the answer for any of those questions. The only thing I could do was to hope and pray for positive answers. The sun now is no longer visible. It was fully set behind the ocean, but only some light still left in the sky. I felt a little nervous and upset. I believe that it was because I was alone, and stranded, and lonely. I wanted someone to be with me to help me overcome these harsh feelings. Sure, I have slept by myself in a bush before, as you know, but I wasn't alone. That night I did have someone with me. I had the Lati's father with me. I had the soldier. But now, just like that night in my room, I just have to deal with it. I have to stay strong. Now's a good time to end the pot. No, I'm just kidding. Sleeping wasn't much of a problem, although I did have some dreams. Wait, no, they weren't dreams. They were flashbacks. I had memories come back to me that night. Countless amounts of memories. The ones I remember the most were not about the crisis for once. They were ones about my new life. I remembered freaking out at the log trainer school and going on that journey to Alto Mare, and even the chats I had with everyone. All of them in that new life were changed in a way. It was mostly my Pokemon that you could see the difference in behavior between the trainer life and the LSRT life. But also, if you look deep enough, you can see the difference in the humans that I knew too. I sat in that bush after I woke up, and thought about the memories. I also thought about my LSRT life as well. I compared the two lives together and sorted the good and the bad. I honestly did not see any good in my trainer life, except for helping Lightning and Pidgey become who they are. All that I used to think was good, besides that had been washed away by a replacement of my team. In my old life, my Pokemon friends were free. I felt like I was helping all those around me. It was a great feeling to live. So in the end, the LSRT life still remains on top of my list, and that is the life I want. While thinking, I heard a splashing noise again. I thought it was that Wilmer again feeding me my breakfast. I read that out of order. I tried to get out of the bush, but I tripped and got stuck. I saw the Wilmer in the shoreline and put food out on the sand. I thought he was going to see me halfway sticking out of the bush, but it looked like he was too busy organizing the food to notice me. As soon as he was done, he turned around and started to go into the water. Wilmer, hey, wait! Excuse me again. I couldn't get the words out in time. He was already under the surface when I called out to him. I pounded the sand with my fist. Dang it, missed him again. I then tried to sit up and release my foot from the bush. All I had to do was lift it upward. I felt dumb for not doing that sooner. What I tried to do was pull forward with all my might. I got up and walked to the food that the Wilmer put out for me. I was surprised to see what kind of berries were in replacement of orange berries. Instead, I saw 4 citrus berries, which were better healers than the orange berry. These berries were rare, especially around these parts. I looked at them and thought about where Wilmer might have gotten them from. I didn't think that they would be grown in the ocean. Or maybe they could, I didn't know. I wasn't really that hungry, to be honest, even though my diet on this island was very light. I felt fine and rested, so to me there really wasn't a point of eating these. I took all 4 berries and put them in my left pocket, with the 2 blue gummies I ate because I needed to stay as hydrated as possible. I was bummed. I wanted to ask that Wilmer if he knew anything about getting off this lonely island. I wanted to make sure I wouldn't miss him the next time when he comes to bring me food. I walked back a couple of steps and sat in front of one of the trees. I looked and stared at that same exact spot where my food was. And I figured that if the Wilmer were to feed me again, they would bring me food where it was the last time. Without thinking a bit, I stared at the spot, watching the waves that flew on top of the sand and back into the ocean. All I did was wait and stare. After what felt like hours, I started to count the waves that flowed onto the shoreline. I counted for a while, too. I got up to 573 waves before I officially got to the point of boredom. I looked up at the sun to check the time, and it was near the center of the sky. It must be close to that time now. So I looked back at the spot. About 10 minutes passed, and there was nothing but the waves. I rubbed my eyes and stretched out my arms, then resumed looking back at that spot. About a couple more minutes go by, and soon I saw the Pokemon returning to the surface, to that exact spot. I grew happy to see them, and I was about to yell out to him, but something he did caught my eye. He fully went on the sand, opened his mouth wide, and as he did so, some orange berries and blue gummies came out of his mouth. This made me quite disgusted. Ugh! Well, at least you went to the trouble of feeding me. I tried to ignore the thought and shook my head to help get rid of it. I got up and walked towards him. Hey, Wilmer! The Wilmer looked up at me and smiled. He did not say anything back to me, though. I got up close to him and greeted him. Oh, hello, Wilmer. I'm glad I finally caught up with you. I've wanted to talk to you ever since I saw you put food out for me. He didn't respond to me again. I grew a little upset because I thought there was an issue, but soon I figured out what the issue could be. It's okay, Wilmer. Go ahead and talk. I'll be able to understand what you say. Well, I'll be. You can do that? Yes, I can. Wow, that sure is neat. I've never seen a human that could understand what I say before. Yep, it is a rare thing, isn't it? Hey, you said that you wanted to speak with me before? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not so good with approaching others. Oh, well, that's alright. I wanted to thank you for feeding me this whole time. I couldn't have survived without you. Even though all this time I was eating what was previously been in your mouth. Ugh. Oh, you're welcome. I wanted to make sure you were okay after what you did. You saw what happened? With the wave and the flying and the crash and everything? Yes, I did. That was brave of you to do that. I also saw you hit the ocean and grew worried that you weren't alive. Well, I wouldn't have been if you didn't save me and take me to this island. Oh, that wasn't me who saved you. It was my friend. Her and I both watching the whole wave stopping thing. Yo, your friend saved me? Who's your friend? Another Wilmer? Nope, not a Wilmer like me. It's an entirely different sea Pokemon. Really? Who is it then? It was Lapras. She's the one who brought you here. A Lapras, eh? Oh, well, that's really neat. Wait, where's she now? Well, she's back at her home under the sea. Oh, could you please go get her for me? I want to talk with her. Oh, I don't know. I think she's still resting. I shouldn't disturb her. Oh, please. Could you at least try for me? I really, really want to thank her for saving me. Okay. I can try it. I can see if I can. I'll be right back. The Wilmer then pushed himself back into the sea and dove under the surface. As I sat still on the island and waited, the Wilmer swam half a mile to get to his friend. The trip only took a couple of minutes to get to the spot where Lapras stayed. Excuse me again. Dang, raspy voice of mine. Wilmer approached the sea cave and looked inside. He saw Lapras in the back eating some orange himself. Seeing that Lapras appeared to be busy, Wilmer grew unsure as to walk in or not. What should I do? I really shouldn't disturb her while she's eating, but that human really needs to see her. Still unsure, the Wilmer poked part of his head around the edge of the cave, where there he watched Lapras eat some of the berries in front of her. While eating one, she looked at the cave exit and saw Wilmer looking back at her. She swallows the berry, and she was chewing and called out, Wilmer? Is that you at the entrance there? Oh, sorry to disturb you. Are you busy? I am having a small meal at the moment, but you're more than welcome to come in. Oh, good, thank you. He enters the cave and sits in front of Lapras. Lapras, I wanted to talk to you about that human that we rescued. Oh, is that human finally awake and mobile? Oh, I do hope that he's alive and well. Well, yeah, honestly, he seemed to have all of his energy back by about noontime yesterday. Lapras grew a little upset. What? You mean all this time that poor human has been sitting on that island all alone? I thought we agreed that you would come to me as soon as he was awake and recovered. I'm sorry. I just thought that you were busy all day yesterday, you know? You always think I'm busy, my friend. You need to learn to get over that feeling of you disturbing others. You're right. I do. I had that same problem when I tried to approach that human. Well, now isn't the time to worry about that. I need to go to that island and escort that human to safety. You have been feeding him, at least, I hope. Oh, yes, I have been. I also gave him some blue gummies to keep him from drying out. Splendid. Well done. Now it's my turn to do my part. You've completed yours. So you don't have to go back to the island again if you don't want to. You may stay here. Alright, I will. Alright, I'm going to aid that human now. I will be back later on this evening. Lapras starts to swim out of the cave. Oh, hey, before you go, I have something to tell you. Yeah? What is it? That human can understand what Pokemon say. It's really neat. Oh, really? Well, listen, that's something. Well, in that case, it'll be very easy to communicate with him. Okay, I'm off. See you later, Lapras. She comes out of the cave and starts to swim towards the island. While she does, I continue to sit and stare at the ocean. My patience was growing thin, however, and I start to feel nervous. It's taking an awful long time to get Lapras. I hope nothing happened. A few seconds after I said that, I saw a figure come up from the surface in the distance. I got a good look at the figure and saw that it was Lapras. Hey, Lapras. I grew happy to see the transport Pokemon swim towards me. As it approached me, it greeted me with a smile. Greetings. Oh, hello, Lapras. It's so nice to see you. It's nice to see you, too. I noticed that you were looking pretty healthy. You've recovered well from that massive fall. I'm still surprised that I'm still here. I thought that my life would end for sure. You are lucky. There definitely was a miracle involved in this. Oh, are you hungry at all? I brought you some orange berries. Oh, thanks, but I'm good for the moment. I'm not hungry for some reason. Well, that's a good sign. At least I know that Wilma was feeding you properly. Yeah, he did. He gave me a bunch of berries and blue gummies. I thank him for that. Lapras smiles again. But there's one thing I don't get about Wilmer. I don't understand why he didn't just go over and talk to me while he was bringing me food. He even saw me several times. I can tell you that. Wilmer has a hard time with speaking the first word. Well, in other words, he has a hard time approaching others. He won't go up to anyone if he feels like he might disturb him. He's like that with everyone, including me. Oh, so he's shy? Oh no, that Wilmer is not shy at all. He loves talking with others. He just has trouble starting conversations. Oh, I see now. Oh, hey, could you do me a favor and thank that Wilmer next time you see him? Of course I can. And I also have to thank you. I walk up to Lapras and put my arms around her neck to give her a hug. You're the one who saved me. Yes, well, I couldn't just leave you there in the water like that, even if you didn't survive. Well, I did survive, and it's because of you. Thanks so much. Lapras smiles again. I let go of her neck. Oh, I know what I can do. It's a good thing I saved this. I take a blue gummy out of my pocket and hold it out in front of Lapras. Thank you, but you don't have to give me anything. That's part of your meal anyway. You should eat it. Oh, please take it, Lapras. I don't need to eat or drink at the moment. I really want you to have it as my thanks. Alright then, I'll eat it. She then eats the gummy out of my hand. Thank you. You're absolutely welcome. So, shall I take you back to where you belong? Oh, yes, please. I really want to get off this tiny island here. Alright, get on my back and we'll be on our way. I did as instructed and sat on top of her. Lapras then turns her head and looks to look at me. Is Alto Mare the place where I'm taking you? Why, yes, it is. That's where I need to go to check on things. Very well. It's not very far from here, so it shouldn't take too long to get there. Let's be off now. Lapras then pushed herself off the shore and turned towards the direction of Alto Mare. She then began to swim forward. I'm just so glad that I don't have to stay on that island anymore. Oh, thanks for doing all this, Lapras. It's my pleasure, human. Oh, please, call me Mike. Alright. Mike's your name. I got it. Good. So, Mike, the unthinkable happened at Alto Mare. The legend was true. What legend? You don't know? I thought that you would, considering you know Latias and Latios. Oh, is it the legend of how they arrived at the town and the fact that they're real Pokemon? Oh, well, no, not that legend. Most of the Pokemon who live near or on the island of Alto Mare, like myself, know that they truly exist. I was talking about the treasure that they guard and the bad things that could happen if it were stolen. Oh, that legend. Yeah, I know about it. In fact, I went to Alto Mare to try to prevent that from happening, but things went wrong. Oh, I see. So you know what happened here, I assume? Yes. Latias and Latios' treasure was stolen from them. Now, what was it called? It was some sort of gem or jewel. The Soldu. Ah, yes, that's what it was called. So their treasure, the Soldu, was stolen. Yes, but these two rotten thieves. I hear from rumors that of a legend that some pretty bad things can happen if the Soldu is taken out of its place. Yes, but not only did they take it, they also broke it too. Lapras' eyes widen when she looks back at me for a brief moment. No kidding! That would explain why the giant tidal wave that Whaler and I saw. Yes. I never thought that such an awful thing could happen like that. Beings have told me that awful things would happen, but that is just beyond awful. Yeah, it is. Well, it's a good thing that Latias and Latios stopped that wave before they crashed into the island. Which reminds me, I wanted to ask you something. Oh, okay. Why did you ride on Latios during the time of knowing that your life would be at stake? Well, honestly, I don't really know the actual answer to that. I don't even know what on earth I was thinking. Well, I guess we all do things without thinking sometime in our lives. But if I had to guess, I think it was because I was still in shock from what was happening. And also, I felt bad for Latios because he was putting his own life on the line. I see. Wait, Lappers? She looks back at me. Yes, Mike? Did you, by any chance, see any bright beams of light on that night of the crisis? As a matter of fact, I did. I saw a beam of light shortly after the wave was fully stopped. Something wrong? That beam of light might have been Latios. Vanishing. Vanishing? That's what that light was about? I'm pretty sure, yes. And that's what the legend said. Well, because Latios would have to put all of his energy into stopping that wave. Also, most of his energy was already gone from being injured before. He was injured before? From what? The thieves. They used a shock neck to capture him and used him as a power supply. The memories of the crisis were so clear to me. I could picture everything from saving disguised Latias to being captured in a shock net with Latios. It was as if I never returned to the new future. My, that is very awful. Lapras looks at me again to see me hanging my head down while holding it with my hands. I have some news to tell you that may make that legend untrue. I lift my head to look at Lapras. What news? The following morning while I was swimming near Alto Mare, I saw Latios and Latias in the sky. They were flying towards the island. Oh, really? I look up towards the sky. You really saw Latias and Latios? I'm positive that I saw them. I'm guessing that they're at their home at Alto Mare right now. Oh, that's a relief. Oh, man, that makes me feel a lot better. I'm happy to hear that. There was silence after that. All I could hear was the sound of flappers moving in the water. I decided to look around where we were at the moment. To my left side of Lapras, I saw a yellow figure on top of the water. I couldn't really tell what the figure was, though. Hey, Lapras, look over there for a moment. Can you see that yellow thing on the water over there? I don't know why there's a typo there. Maybe, well, whatever. What? Lapras stops moving and looks over at the figure. Oh, yes, I do. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's the Dragonite that lives around these parts. I suddenly felt excited and my heart began to race. Ooh, did you say Dragonite? Yes, I did. That Dragonite is a new face around these parts. He's only been living here for less than a couple of weeks. And right now, it seems that he is sitting in the sun on his favorite sandbar. Oh, so you're friends with him then? Yeah, somewhat. I have met him a couple of times here and there. He is very nice and friendly. Oh, I bet. I mean, I am friends with a Dragonite back home. I know how kind and gentle and friendly they are. I see. Can we go meet him? It's not every day you get to see a Dragonite. Sure, I don't suppose why not. Lapras then changed her direction and headed toward the marine dragon. As we approached Dragonite, I noticed that his eyes were closed and he showed a little smile that looked relaxed. As we got a little closer, and then Dragonite started to hear sounds of swimming. He opened his left eye to see what was making the sound. He saw Lapras and noticed that something was riding on top of her back. Dragonite then opened his other eye and turned his head to see who was riding on her. As he got a good look, he gave a growl which sounded like a huh? He got up on his feet and turned towards us. When he finally fully identified who I was, he gave a large dragon-like ah, which appeared to be a gasp in his own language. His jaw then dropped completely, and he stared at me with what appeared to be a look of disbelief. What? I can't believe it. Seeing Dragonite stare at me with his mouth wide open like that made me feel a little awkward inside. I tried not to give him an awkward look myself by keeping a smile on my face. Hello there, Dragonite. Hearing my voice caused Dragonite to change his expression. He then closed his eyes and gave a happy smile. Even his antennae on top of his head twitched with happiness. Hey, you look happy to see me? Well, I'm happy to see you too. He nodded at me and looked at me again with a smiley face. He still didn't speak to me though. So I hear that you're friends with Lapras here, am I right? It appeared as if Dragonite was trying to talk, but all I heard was a bunch of happy-sounding grunts. The Pokespeak amulet didn't even translate the grunts either. Which probably meant that Dragonite was speaking gibberish. Either that or he was just making plain growling noises. I look at Lapras for a moment and see that she's looking at Dragonite with a puzzled look. I then look back and smile at Dragonite. I decided that now would be a good time to get going to Alto Mare, which was visible and somewhat close to here. Okay, I think we're gonna head off now. I need to go to Alto Mare to check out the surroundings anyway. Ready, Lapras? Yes, I suppose we can go now. It was very nice to meet you, Dragonite. I hope you have a great day. Lapras then turns into the direction of Alto Mare and swim towards it again. As we pull away from Dragonite, I stand on Lapras' back facing towards him and wave. I noticed that he waved back at me with that same happy smile he had on his face. After a bit, I turned back around and sat facing back in Lapras' front. I began to think about that Dragonite we just encountered. Something that didn't seem quite right with him. I thought about that moment a bit more, and then decided to share my thoughts. Hey, Lapras. Yes, Mike? That Dragonite we met looked pretty happy, didn't he? So you were thinking about him too. Yes, I'll agree that he looked quite happy to see you. Well, is he always speechless like that? No, honestly. In fact, he loves to talk with others. The last time we met, he was very talkative. He told me once that he was always on the search for a new friend and loves talking and being with others. To tell you the truth, I didn't know what to say to him myself because of his behavior. And why he was speechless? Well, I just can't figure that out either. Oh, well, at least he was very friendly and nice for a silent dragon. Yeah, that's for sure. Well, now it's time to say hi to 2 more dragons as soon as we get to Alto Mare. Yes, the island looks pretty close from here. Shouldn't be long now. Good. I sat back and enjoyed the relaxing ride. While relaxing, I noticed a green thing floating in the water to the right of Lapras. I couldn't quite make it out what it was exactly, but it looked like a Pokémon. What is that over there? Lapras looks at me where I'm facing. She looks in the same direction as me and sees the same green figure. While looking at it, the figure disappears and a splash of water replaces it. Well, whatever it was must have dove under the water. Probably a fish or something. After that, I then returned to relaxing. Soon the green figure, if it was really green at all, left my mind completely. Lapras and I both calmly enjoyed the rest of our trip. We finally arrived at Alto Mare and I was relieved. Excuse me again. We approached the city by heading towards one of the beaches. Lapras then got to the sand and came to a stop. There you go. I get off her back and walk to the front of her. Thank you so much, Lapras. It was my pleasure, Mike. So, what are you going to do now? I'm probably going to head home now. Then I'll tell Wilmer that you made it here safely. And then maybe I'll go for a swim around the area later on. Oh, sounds good. Well, I hope you have a good day then. But before you go, and I need to tell you something. And it's quite important. Oh, really? What is it? Well, there's a reason why that Dragonite acted the way he did. And I know what it is. You figured it out? Well, honestly, I knew right from the start. The reason why he looked so happy to see you is because he is the one that rescued you. What? It was Dragonite? Yes, that Dragonite was the one who picked you up out of the water and brought you to that island. Wilma and I only followed him to see if we could help with anything else. But if that's true, then why did Wilmer say that you rescued me? On that night of the rescue, Dragonite told us not to mention him at all if you survived. He wanted his heroics to be unknown. To be honest, I think he thought you weren't going to be able to survive. No wonder why he was so speechless. Why did he want me not to know that he saved me? I really don't know, Mike. I asked him the same question, but he told me the reason was personal. I'm sorry. So is there any way that you could thank Dragonite for me? I'm afraid I can't do that. If I tell him that you thank him, then he'll know that I told you about him. Oh. Well, at least he knows that I'm alive. I bet he feels really good about himself for saving me. I bet that too. I really must be going. Wilmer is at my home waiting for my return. I really should get back to him. Oh. Alright. It was really nice to meet you. I hope that you and Wilmer live happy lives. Thanks, Mike. Same to you. Lapras pushes herself off the sand and into the ocean. She then turns towards the sea and starts to swim. Bye, Lapras. Goodbye. I then watched her slowly swim away. She got to the point where I could barely see her before I turned away. I looked at the rest of the beach to see the people on it. I didn't even notice everyone else here until just now. Some of the people were looking at me, but others were too into what they were doing to notice anything else. I began to walk up the small beach to get to the city part of Alto Mare. But in a few steps into my walk, I stopped and looked out towards the ocean. I wondered what that Dragonite was doing. I really wanted to go and find him again so I could personally thank him. But I really didn't have the time for that. The things I needed to do was first check on the Latias, and then soon try to find out where Dialga's hourglass went. Although, there was probably one other thing to add to that list. I should go to see Lorenzo and Bianca. I bet they were worried sick about me, and you know that I'm okay. Excuse me, young man. I look for who said that. The closest, I don't know why it says closest, person to me was an older-looking man who was sitting under an umbrella reading a book. I look at him and point to myself. Were you talking to me? Why, yes, I was. I noticed that you just dropped off a moment ago. Was that your Lapras? Oh, no, it wasn't. That Lapras was wild. It was nice enough to offer me a ride, and ride to me to take me here. My, now isn't that something? Getting a ride from any Lapras is a wonderful thing, really. But a wild one? Ha! Well, that's even more amazing. Now, where did you come from to get here? I really didn't want to tell him where I was, but I also didn't want to lie to the gentleman either. Well, honestly, I came from an island out in the ocean. Oh, I see. From one island to another. What kind of island town is it? No, not a town. I mean a small deserted island in the middle of the ocean. The man grew shocked and sat up straight. What? Are you telling me that you were stranded, young one? Pardon me for this southern accent. I just feel like doing it. For a moment, yes. And that Lapras offered me a ride as soon as I recovered my strength. Oh, my word. Poor boy, you must be starving. Why don't you come over to my place to get something to eat? Oh, you don't have to. I'm not really hungry. Not hungry? Really? Yeah, I was fed by both a Lapras and a Whalmer while I was on that island. Yeah, they gave me some berries to help my hunger. Well, isn't that just great? Having a Pokemon care for you like that is a special thing. I hope that you thanked them properly. Oh, without a doubt I did. If I had something to give them, I would. Oh, are you sure you don't need anything? Yep, I'm sure. Thank you for the offer, though. Not a problem. Well, I'm going to continue to read my book then. He sits down under the umbrella and opens the book. You have a good one. Thanks, you too. The man starts to read his book. Book. That was a weird pronunciation of that word. Ugh, I'm starting to lose it. The man starts to read his book. I think for a bit about of that Lapras and Whelmer again. I really do wish that there was a way I could thank him more. I thought in the back of my mind about them joining the LSRT, but soon I remembered that still doesn't exist yet. That made me want to find Latias and Latios. I think that they could. I think of where they could be right now, and the best choice would be to go to their garden. Right. I started to walk towards the town again. While I was walking, I heard a little boy on the beach. Something a little boy on the beach said that distracted me. Hey, Mommy, look! It's a dragon! Soon after that came some gasps and woes. As I turned back towards the sea and see a big yellow dragon approach the beach. Dragonite! The old man looks at Dragonite and then talks to me. Would you look at that, boy? Another wonderful thing right there! To see a Dragonite is a rare experience. Gentle Pokemon they are. The Dragonite then lands on the sand and looks around. He was looking for something, and I knew exactly who it was. The people on the beach continued to stare at Dragonite in awe. I jogged towards him, calling out, Dragonite! Hey, Dragonite! Dragonite looks over to me, and as I step in front of him, he grows a big, happy face. It's you! I found you! I'm so glad you found me. I really wanted to see you again. Well, as soon as you and Lapras left my sight from my sandbar, I came looking for you. I bumped into Lapras on the way here, and I told her that I was looking for you. She told me that she told you I saved you, and that you were on this island. She also told me that you can understand what Pokemon say. That's really neat. Oh, well, it was nice of her to do that. And Dragonite, I wanted to say thank you for saving my life. I greatly appreciate it. I walk right up to him and give him a hug. He smiles and hugs me too. My pleasure. After what you did, I just had to do it. You deserve to live. I look at him up with a smile, and he gives me that same eyes-closed smile he gave back to me on the sandbar. We then stop hugging, but still look at each other with a smile. This Dragonite here reminded me of a lot of my best friend, a Dragonite on the LSRT. It was probably the way he acted and smiled that was similar. The only thing different about this one here is that he doesn't call me buddy. Hey, young one. I turn to the voice, seeing the old man again. Is that there your Dragonite? Not really. This Dragonite here is one who saved me from drowning. He brought me to the island to regain consciousness. Wow. Bless this Pokemon for being a hero. And he's more than welcome to stay with me. I'll take really good care of him for whatever he did for me. Right, Dragonite? He looks at me with a really kind of expression. Well, that's really nice of you. I think I see a strong friendship growing here. I look at Dragonite and see how happy he is. So, Dragonite, I'm going to several places around Alto Mare here. Do you want to come with me? Oh, really? You want me to go with you? Of course I do. Why not? I'd love to go. Thanks a bunch. Alright then. Just follow me, okay? Sure, no problem. The two of us begin to walk away from the ocean and to the city. Everyone excluding the old man everyone including the old man watches walk away. So, what's your name? My name is Mike. I'm glad we're friends. Me too. The old man scratches his head in thought as we walk off the beach. Is it me? Or can that boy understand what that Dragonite is saying? This will be the part where I end it. There's no like little diamond thing where I mark it, but actually there's not one from like back then all the way to the end of the actual part. But this is where I'm going to end video 2. It's where Mike and Dragonite walk together. And in the next part, when I upload it, it will be this week during Dragonite week because it's another huge Dragonite part. So in that part, I'll give you a little heads up. There'll be a lot of conversation between Mike and Dragonite, which I love to do that. I would do more, but my voice is getting so raspy that if I continue to do it, you will no longer understand what I say. And I hope you enjoyed my southern accent. I do that a lot. So that'll be the end of this part. Once again, I hope you enjoyed yourself, and thanks for reading, and catch video 3 of part 7, Lost in a Sea of Loneliness. Catch you later.